Welcome to Advanced Vedic Mathematics course. Today in lesson 17, we shall be concentrating upon Geeta chapter 4. Geeta is Vedanta Trayi, a sense of Vedas. Popular Vedic text of 18 chapters and 700 shlokas is part of bigger scripture Urma Bhartam, where it is also simultaneously preserved that Gita enlightenment is of 745 shlokas. These 45 additional shlokas as value 45 with its organization 22 plus 23 of Sthapatya, hypercube 6, full unit and half unit takes us to six space as origin of 5 space. With this preliminary information, let us now first of all be through shlokas 1 to 9 of Geeta Text chapter 4. The chapter opens with Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, and it is as an information, enlightenment to Arjuna, as that Krishna himself had imparted this knowledge and enlightenment of Yoga and Sankhya of chapters 2 and 3 to Sun. And this enlightenment and knowledge had reached from sun to his son, grandson, and then to rishis, Raj rishis, and ultimately the chain was broken. This information, this disclosure as such, had been beyond the comprehension of Arjuna, as he himself had put, as that his Sakha friend Krishna is of a recent birth like of Arjuna, while son was of much earlier time, and so it cannot be possible, and it was beyond the comprehension of Arjuna. And then Shri Bhagavan explains, tries to impart, tries to enlighten Arjuna as that his birth and of Krishna himself was not the first or the only birth. There were many previous births of which Arjuna was not remembering, while Lord had full memory of the same. He was fully conscious of all those. And also Krishna, Shri Bhagavan, gives an information that his birth is Divya, he has a Divya Janam, and his karma as well are Divya. These divine birth and divine karmas, while as formulations are changed and are translated into numbers, it will be 17 plus 23, and here it will be 17 and 14. Summation value is 40, summation value is 31, grand summation value 31, grand summation value is 71, and 71 makes a reflection pair with 17, and it is of Atma, soul. These features, as these are, when are tried to be changed further for their sthapatya, then we know that hypercube 5 is enveloped within a creative boundary of 10 components, and these 10 components, creative components together, make value 10 into 4 is equal to 40. And value 31 is the synthesis value of a pair of transcendence ranges. These translations, as these are at the base of the enlightenment being imparted, and today we are going to glimpse, comprehend, and try to understand that what it really implies. What it implies. when we are in a four space, we know that it is of a transcendental origin. Hypercube 4 as a four space body and 5 space as origin. Therefore, hypercube 4 as four space domain is having a spatial dimensional frame of four dimensions, and there is a transcendental seal. Means at origin seat there is a 5 space placement. The transcendental seal of the four space domain as such, when is exploded, is when 5 space melts. This transcendental seal, when it melts, it creates a transcendental cavity. Here happens a cavity, and 5 space is having 6 space as a origin, and therefore this 6 space comes into play, and it as full unit and as half unit, because of the spatial order of the creator's space, happens to be a melted state. Now, let us revisit it as that when explosion takes place is when at the transcendental origin seat, this transcendental seal, a 5 space, when melts, then its upper part as northern hemisphere and lower part as southern hemisphere, with hypercube 5 itself as of value 18 happens to be the melted state. Now let us revisit. There is a 4 space. Its transcendental seal explodes, and this explosion as such results into a transcendental cavity, and this transcendental cavity splits the 5 space content of the seal as northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere of values 17 and 19, and this cavity is 18. This phenomenon, as happens within four-space domain, the same at the boundary happens to be as that its solid boundary components strip off or blown off, and as a result there happens a cosmic window. There is a window here, but this much other, say the boundary, is intact, and sequentially there will be pair of windows, triple windows, and so on, and there will be 8 windows. Now let us revisit. Let us start afresh from the initial stage that we are in four space, which has hypercube 4 with a transcendental origin, has a transcendental seal here. The moment the explosion takes place, this force happens, means this sheet melts and there happens a cavity. The upper part and lower part split happens, and at the outer boundary, at the solid boundary, there happens a strip off for the solid component, and here is a cosmic window. See, there is a transcendental cavity at the origin sheet, and there is a cosmic window at the outer boundary place. See the situation now. There is a four space. There happens an explosion resulting into a transcendental cavity and a cosmic window. Now, solid boundary component strip off will dimensionalize the outer space as of 7 geometries range. Dimension will create 5 space domain, which a step ahead will create 7 space. Now, this happening as it is going to be, it at the mid domain, the split for the transcendental origin as a 5 space domain, or means there will be a transcendental cavity. The vortex for the transcendental cavity. So there is a transcendental cavity and its vortex, its is creative. And this creation is going to be a raised to power 5 is to 10. A raised to power 5 is to 10, b raised to power 4. And if the creative component strips off, then it will first be creating 6 space, and ahead it will be creating 8 space. Let us sit comfortably and let us be parallel with this all what has happened because of an explosion at the origin seat. And now let us try to analyze as that this transcendental seal or transcendental content as such as a 5 space is of a solid dimensional frame of 5 dimensions. So in the explosion, its dimensional frame as such of 5 such dimensions is stripped off. These space content is having strip off for its dimensional frame. And 5 space itself creates 7 space and reaches the origin of 6 space. So this 7 space content as origin of 6 space is inflow, backflow, as 6 is a value for which the sum as well as the product of its proper components is equal, and with the reverse of orientation, then -1, -2, 3 is -6, as well as -1 multiplied by -2 multiplied by -3 is -6. So the creative dimension, 4 space has a dimension of a 6 space, is doing these wonders as that 4 is 2 plus 2, it is 2 multiplied by 2, it is -2 multiplied by -2, and further 2 raised to power 4 is 4 raised to power 2, and 6 space as a content splits into of value 16. All these features are simultaneously happening. Let me summarize. At origin of a 4 space, there happens an explosion, and as a result thereof, 5 space setup has that its dimensional frame is stripped off. It reaches the origin seat of 6 space. Here there being a creative dimension, so the process reverses of its own, and as a result the D7 7 space content as of split value 7, 5, 5, 3, 20 as H7 is 26, 5, 6, 7, 8, and as versions 15. This now is the back explosion happens. There is a reach up till the origin of Sun Surya, and because of the special order, there again is a reversal back of the process, and these things happen. When we review this happening from explosion and reversal back of the phenomenon at the origin of the sun, and here it happening at the origin of a force space. So this happening at the center of the creative dimension, and this happening at the origin seat of the creators of the self-referred means sun. Then what happens? That this 5 space, which had strip of its dimensional frame 15, it stands recomposed. And now in this background, when we will be reading the text of 7 and 8th shloka of Geeta, then we will be blissfully as that the happening is for sadhu and dharma, and there happens to be sthapana and paritran. These are the terms which I am taking as these are. However, all this be taken as an initial exposure to what is happening within creator's space at its origin seat, and how the creative dimensional order is recomposing and bringing the things to its original state. So, in this background, in the next lesson, we shall be revisiting it as it is preserved, particularly in Shloka 7 and Shloka 8 of chapter 4. I know that what I am stating as such is of such jumps as that to compile them back will require enough number of revisits. But in any case, when we want to be parallel with the Vedic Mathematics Science and Technology basis-based values as are preserved here in chapter 4 in respect of force-based Vedic Mathematics Science and Technology. So we have to take these as these are, and we have to transcend, and we have to be parallel with them. Thank you.